afternoon, good evening, good morning. Whenever you're watching this, today is Wisdom Wednesday, and I'm so grateful that you are here today. And in fact, that's our theme for this month is grateful. My name is Reverend Richard Pacheco. Just call me Rev Rich. And as always, make sure you subscribe, you hit like, you share, you hit the bell so you know when a new video drops on our channel. And if you're listening to this on our podcast, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast with every encounter on whatever podcast station you like listening to it. And as I said, today we're going to focus on the word or the feeling of gratitude. In fact, the title of the talk today is Gratitude Even When I Don't Feel It. And when we talk about feeling, we're talking about an emotion. You know, whether it's a feeling of love or a feeling of sadness or a feeling whatever, it is the emotion we go through when we don't feel that need of gratitude. Now, if you listen to a talk I did a little while ago, it was called Gratitude is Not Just a Thank You. See, we think that we're grateful for things just by saying thank you. But gratitude is actually a feeling that generates energy, and it's an energy that's felt by others. When we talk about being magnetic or having a magnetic personality where you attract people to yourself, it is based on what your internal feelings are. So if you're feeling sad, you tend to attract more people who encourage that sadness. Now, again, before I go anywhere, I want to remind you that we want you to grow through your emotions. People will be quick to tell you, oh, it's over, don't worry about it, don't listen. You want to grow through your emotions because your emotions are a great indicator on work you need to do, such as triggers. I like to talk about triggers, things that may remind you of something and brings up an emotion. In my case, sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's sadness, and a lot of times it can be happy. A trigger can also be a happy trigger. But we want you to grow through the emotions. But how do you become grateful in situations that make you feel otherwise? And when I talk about those situations, I'm talking about situations usually surrounding about loss. Because when we think about gratitude, we think about abundance. When we think about abundance, we're thinking about getting more of love, joy, money, whatever it is to you. But the feeling of loss, how do you feel grateful in a time of loss? You know, it could be that you lost a loved one recently. It could be that you lost a friend, and not so much that they made a transition from life, but they're just not friends with you anymore. If you lost contact with them, how do I say, you may have lost a job. So now you have this feeling of scarcity or maybe fear. How do you feel grateful in all these times? I mean, it sounds crazy, but it all comes down to a few things. One is perspective. How do you see yourself in that environment? And we'll talk about that in another talk. I'll be doing a talk later called Gratitude When You Don't See It. But when you need to feel it, the question is, where is it coming from? How do I get grateful when I just lost somebody in my life? Well, what were the feelings you had when your friend was in your life, or that person you lost was in your life? What did you celebrate? What did you do together? What memories can you bring up that generate that feeling of joy? And again, I'm going to preface this because a lot of times people are quick to only hear, well, he said don't feel anything but gratitude during the time. No, what I'm saying is as you go through your emotions, you have the choice, the free will to change the emotional state you're in. Not eliminate it, but just change it. So, for example, let's go back to the loss of a loved one. We miss them. We wish they were here. And we're feeling sad, and we may bring up that emotional of sadness of missing them. But could you immediately change that sadness over to, hey, I remember the last time we hung out, or maybe the last time we went through? You know, when we talk about a loss of maybe a friend leaving, you know, you're no longer friends. It could have been on bad terms. It could have been just the fact that they had to move away. And again, you're missing that friend, or maybe you're thinking about it. How can you be grateful? And even if you left on bad terms, were there times or a lesson that you can be grateful for that you learned from? You know, the title of my company now and it's the title of our podcast, and our channel is With Every Encounter. And that was born from learning to be grateful for all the encounters I had in my life. Past relationships, if you've had a bad breakup or you've had bad relationships that you've had to walk away from, could you be grateful for the lessons you learned during that time? Could you be grateful for the time that that person spent with you? I always say time is one of those gifts that we can never take back or recreate. Once it's gone, it's gone. So that person in that relationship that gave you that time, no matter how it ended, be grateful for that time. Be grateful knowing that in that time you learned some lessons. Maybe you learned something about yourself that you knew you had to improve, or learn to love yourself before you can move on to the next relationship. Can you be grateful for, even in the arguments or the fighting, that you learned something? Even if you were in an abusive relationship, though I don't wish it on anybody, once it's over and you are safe, could there be something there that you could truly be grateful for, even in the fact of being able to be strong enough to have found the wisdom to leave that relationship? Loss of a job. You're feeling scared. How do I provide for my family? How do I pay my bills? How do I pay that? But could there be a sense of maybe it was time to let go? I know when I got out here to Pennsylvania, the job I moved through 3 states. I went from New York to New Jersey to Pennsylvania with this job. And in time, when budget cuts came around, I was told they were laying me off. Now, what was funny was, of course, part of me was worried now, well, how do I, what's going to happen with the family and stuff? But there was also a part of me that was grateful, because something had been telling me for the longest that I've spent too much time in that position and in that job. Now, I didn't stick in one position. I was promoted to multiple levels into management. But by the time I was laid off, I had already known I needed to leave that job. But I was holding on. And not even just leave the job, but it could have been a change that needed to happen in my life. I tell people I try not to live with regrets, because regrets just fills a space that can be filled with gratitude. So do I regret moving out here? No. I've met some wonderful people. I've learned, came to discover unity. In turn, I'm now a unity minister. So all these things, when we think we don't feel gratitude, is because we're looking at our situations from a point of lack, scarcity, and fear. And yes, we are human. We're going through a human experience. We're going to feel these things. But when we can change that perspective, when we can look at it from a different angle and say, hey, what can I get from this? We begin to generate some gratitude. I could be having a stressful day in my job, but in that same sentence, I say I am grateful for the opportunity to be able to go to work. I am grateful for the opportunity to be able to provide for my family, even if there may be other circumstances that may generate stress within me. And I practice my release and whatever to get through it. And it's not that, I'm not hearing anything that said it's time to change. I know the work I want to do. Many of you know through my company, I am a Reiki master teacher now. I am, a certified life coach or master life coach. I am now working toward my transformational coach certification. Because for me, that's the big thing. It's transformation. Gratitude says I'm not working officially in the capacity of a minister. This was my rest period. And there's a point of me that wants to get back to that. I have an opportunity in front of me that I am waiting to hear whether the opportunity is for me or not, and if it's going to be offered to me, where I will be able to grow even more in this ministry. But until I see the gratitude in it, I can't generate that energy that allows more to come in. So where are you today? Where do you see yourself feeling lack and limitation? Where do you see yourself feeling fear that something's not here or coming around? Where are you today that you can now look at a lesson and look at a situation in your life right now and say, okay, I see where I'm feeling it, but can I find some gratitude to have here? Few things we'll be talking about in the upcoming weeks, as I said. Feeling gratitude when you can't see it, or feeling gratitude and forgiveness when you feel you can't forgive. How can we feel gratitude in all those situations? And we'll talk about more of that throughout the lessons this month, so look forward to that. Also coming soon, I will have my Facebook spiritual group where those that wish to take a deeper dive can join me there, including the Advent season that's coming up soon. Anybody who's ever participated at Unity of Northeast Pennsylvania know that I was doing a daily video for Advent and going through the days and the stories and things like that. So with that being said, ask yourself today, what can I do this week to feel grateful when I don't have anything to feel grateful for? What can you turn around in your life this week and start looking at it from a point of gratitude? And when you start feeling it, you will feel that energy grow. When you feel that energy grow, know that you're truly allowing your light to shine so that others who are in your similar situation can feel that gratitude. So remember that this week, let's feel out of that victim mentality. Know that there's something we can learn. Know that there's something we can do. Affirm that for yourselves. Deny the power that lack and scarcity has over you. And I guarantee you, move into a space you need to be with. So with that, I will see you at the next episode. If no one else has told you, I love you. And there's nothing you can do about it. And as always, I bid you namaste as the big and beautiful divinity in me sees that big and beautiful divinity in you.